So I'm gonna bring it back to religion. I'm Jain, which is like a mix of Hinduism and Buddhism, and they just don't talk about sex. Like
I can second that because my grandma's also Jain, so we practice Jainism and Hinduism.
They don't talk about it. With religion not being like a factor at all, I think that culture was. So Indian culture is very, it's like don't have sex till marriage. That's just kind of like no one says it, no one talks about it,
It's just
which
what's
is weird.
kind of expected from like a very traditional family. Like I remember when I went through puberty and got my period, my mom never mentioned it. Like I've never had a sex talk. I've always like just had a sex talk from my friends and while we were learning in school when we were learning it. But she would mention little things subliminally, like, if a man touches you in a wrong way, you don't like it, let me know. She would say stuff like that. So I feel like growing up, I feel like she just knew that this is what our culture is, what our religion is, but she also knows that not everyone follows it. So I feel like in that sense, she was also trying to get the point across that if you do go through with something, or if something happens and you liked it or you didn't like it, make sure you are always voicing that out there, not maybe to the person or maybe to your friends, and just having it talked about is what she's trying to get across, I would say.
Would you say that society is very influential on your thoughts on sex rather than what your parents would have taught you growing up?
I think earlier on in life, parents were influential, and then society is influential, and now at this stage, for me personally, it's what I think. In terms of religion, I view religion as practices. So you practice doing something. In terms of Christianity, I view it as something that's faith-based in relationship.
Yeah.
So I don't call myself religious, I call myself faithful. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I've personally been in encounters sexually that weren't, I didn't give consent to. So to me, sex holds a very sacred place in my heart just because of what I've been through previously, and then also how my relationship has built with God. That is just something that factors into it. So like you said, waiting, I'm still in the process of waiting because that's, to me, it just makes sense. Also, it comes from a place of like being scared and letting anything happen again, but also just that security in who I am as a person and my relationship with God. So that's where I come from with that. It's just a very personal, subjective feeling on sex.
I feel like if parents and religious sometimes see it as you can't talk about it, it's like not proper to talk about.
Oh, it's not that at all.
I know.
It's super open, like, yeah.
I know, but I'm just saying
multiple times.
But I'm saying like if they're viewing it like that, going into your question, right? I mean, why? If it's why is it like that? Like I don't understand why religious sees it like that, why it's different parents or different people see it like that. If it's a normal thing of life, none of us would be here if it wasn't because of that. Mm-hmm. So why is it seen like that? Why is religion
I think you're thinking it's negative. Sex isn't seen as something
negative. It's not negative, but then you're saying that you need to stop, you need to hold it until this age, you need to hold it. There's kids that are 15 that are more mature than people that are 28, 29.
But that's not because they're having sex.
But it's also like when you're as a child having sex, it's harder for you to be safe. There's so many different things, right?
Yeah.
And it's so then. But if there's so many things, why hold it? Why tell them to wait? Instead of telling them to wait, embrace it and tell them, yo, listen, this is what it is. Like this is how it's gonna be. If you're gonna do it, it's your choice. This is what we say. We think it's better if you wait, but if you want to do it before, here's your option. Here's what you should look out for. Yeah? So why would they not do that? You know?
I mean, something.
I think that is a dialogue that's had though. Like you know what you're taught, but then in my home, I've always had the discussion of if you're going to do something, be smart about it. You know what I mean? And that doesn't just hold to sex. Just be smart about what you're doing. In terms of Christianity, I know that what God says and what the Bible says. Well, the Bible that I read, King James Version.
Yeah.
It says that sex is the act of bonding and marriage between a man and a woman. So that's what it is supposed to symbolize in terms of what Christianity says. But if you make the make the choice to have sex before marriage, then by all means that's not your choice. It's not like I think people take it too far in terms of Christianity, in terms of if you have sex then you're not going to heaven and all this. To me that's just not
Nonsense.
that pisses me
Yeah.
off, to be very, very frank with you, because if the whole reason of Christianity is Jesus died for your sins, and because of that you can go to heaven. You know what I mean? So no one's perfect, like, ever. And so for me that holds with having sex. If you want to have sex, then have sex, be smart about it, and if it's something that's about your faith, then do what you got to do in terms of your faith. If you're, sorry, I'm going off topic, but I hate when Christians are homophobic. I
Love is
hate
love.
that so much, because love is love. That's so many verses in the Bible say love your neighbors, you love yourself. You're not going to go outside and stand in front of your neighbor's house with signs ridiculing their life. That doesn't make any sense.
Specifically say to like shun them because
Yeah,
of that,
exactly.
right?
It says love,
Like you're supposed to
who you
accept
love.
it. It outlines what's
He
right
was
and wrong.
written
Right.
hundreds of years ago. We don't know what that guy's doing now. He's dead. We don't know
I
what
feel
is
like
happening. He is
piggybacking off
dead.
that, I feel like at this point it's now, as a generation, it's now time for us to be rewriting rules. And not necessarily making them rules, but just being more open-minded to that, hey, other people are making choices that you might not make personally, but they may be being smart about it, so you have to just kind of let them live it out.
Yeah, I think
Yeah,
it's
we're
living in
definitely
and accepting your own. You know what I mean? Like, everyone has their own views on everything. It's just not on you to judge
Yeah.
anyone based on
And
what
I
they
feel like growing up in an Indian household, it's very awkward for parents to be like touchy-feely with each other. Like I've never, still 21 years, I've never seen my parents kiss. And
Wow,
it's
really?
just, yes, never, not in front of me, not for my brother, never, not even like, they'll be like lovey-dovey.
Neither-
No,
neither
it's
have
like,
I feel like
randomly.
that would affect
Nope,
you, because for
never.
me it's the opposite.
Yeah.
I come from a Spanish family. We embrace that.
Yeah.
We're like, love is the most beautiful thing ever.
Yeah.
I see my
But-
parents when we're doing something as a family.
A lot.
They hug us and then they kiss each other. That teaches me. I'm like, oh, this is what I want in a
Yeah,
family.
but
This
my-
is what I want.
the
The
thing is-
connection. If you don't have it, you're never gonna be able to relate
It's
about it. You're
also-
going in it blind.
Right, it's also that, just speaking from my family and, extended family and stuff, I feel like it's also that if I'm a parent and I'm showcasing all this sexual things with my partner, like husband or wife, a lot of traditional parents feel as though that if they were to do that in front of their kids, that they're going to be putting ideas into their into their kids' minds that they wouldn't want at that age. When now it's obviously not the case, that we want to be showing love to who we love, whether it be friends, family, your partner, etc. But I feel like back then, and even still now in certain families, it's kind of awkward, I would say. Like if I ever saw my parents kiss, I haven't ever seen them kiss, and if they were to do it in front of me, I'd be like, whoa, like,
Yeah.
when did this start happening?
Just stop touching each other. That's
Yeah,
weird.
yeah,
That's- Stop that. That's not okay. Yeah.
I think it's just everyone has their own personal experiences when it comes to family,
Yeah.
like what you know, what you've learned. Like, that's why I think when it comes to talking about certain things like sex or religion or family, it's so subjective. So that's why I was going back to the thing of being accepting and just loving people for who they are, not to actively commit, is what's really important.
Yeah, so something I wanted to ask you, and it's kind of like backtracking a long way. You said something about society. I want to know what you think specifically in society promotes sex. Or why do you think that influences your how you go about having sex? Is it
You're asking me
Everything, like
advertising,
everything.
music,
Your
Guys,
Yeah, everything is
music,
sexualized.
clothes,
Yeah.
Everything.
like music festivals.
Mm-hmm.
Your friends' experiences.
Oh, I remember.
Everything.
I
The lyrics
watched.
that you listen to when you're
Everything is
studying, like,
based
you don't even
on
realize.
sex.
Yeah.
Like for
And
me,
certain
So
sentences.
what?
as a kid, like we all know Scooby-Doo, right? Like there was never a relationship or anything. Like it was a group of friends.
Mhm.
I watched the new Scooby-Doo with like a baby cousin the other day, and like Daphne and Fred were together, and then but Daphne was tripping because she thought Fred was cheating on her,
What?
and then Velma
Scrappy-Doo?
What's with the
yeah, and then
Scrappy-Doo!
nothing. I was like, it was insane, and then like Shaggy and Velma are dating. Scooby's jealous because like they're home. Yeah.
The dog.
But like that's like it's sex and everything, like just everything.
It's everywhere,
It's
yeah, yeah,
everywhere.
it's
Like
everywhere.
it's so different. You would have never seen that growing up.
And it's
Like,
also
yeah,
very
yeah.
hard to
I feel like
not to completely avoid it as well.
Do you guys believe it's important to start teaching younger children the meaning and value of sex at a young age? What age, if so? And do your actions align with your views on sex?
I mean, myself. If I said to my kid, do not have sex until marriage, I'll be the biggest hypocrite in the world. So instead of that, when he's curious about it, I'll tell the guy, I'll be like, hey dude, like, let me tell you what it is. I'll embrace it so that they're not curious and then them doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Exactly, and getting the wrong thing. I prefer him getting it from me, from like their own father, you know.
Yeah.
And then instead of going out and getting it from some other person that I don't know,
And
you know.
also to carry on with it, at a younger age, I started learning about sex and puberty in grade 5, which is like what, 10 or 11. I think now is a lot younger, but what I want to say is before we even had like a class on puberty or class on sex ed in grade 5, at age 10 or 11, I already went in knowing what it was just based off like me watching Pitbull music videos, like you know, like or like just
That's
listening,
talking about ovaries.
listening,
Wow.
like listening to.
That's talking about the menstrual system.
No, I meant like sex in general. Like I knew what the act was, not necessarily like puberty, like every single step of what it is. I'm just saying like there was a lot of influence growing up that there wasn't only before even having the class, like I said, music videos, movies I would watch, I'd be kissing, making out, you know. Of course I was curious, like what, like where does this all lead to? You know what I mean? Yeah.
I think I think you definitely need to teach kids about sex for sure. Like going off what Kevin said, you don't want just anyone out here telling them, you know, like this or that. Like you want it to come from like a place that you trust, which is yourself. So I think you should definitely be telling kids about sex, and I think it's important to just stress on the safetyness. The safetyness of sex for sure. I think when it comes to like their decision of if they want to have sex or engage in sex, that's something that they have to grow up and figure out. You can teach them what you know, and you can tell them about your experiences, but ultimately it's up to them, because if they're in the place where they're gonna make the decision to or not have sex, you're not gonna be there with them. So I think it's just important to teach them about the safety, tell them what you know in your experience, if it was bad, if it was good, and then they have to make their mistakes from there.
Yeah, and that's exactly how I feel in regards to, because like I said earlier, like SACREDNESS is about, you know, me and my future. So I would definitely suggest teaching kids about the repercussions of sex, but like beyond as jazz, but just about like, oh, like if you're, you know, having interaction with somebody who's just not that great of a person, and you know you're somebody who might get a little like emotionally like involved with somebody after an act, that like afterwards you can have, I guess to say, like a negative feeling, or like you can feel hurt. That's what I mean. You can feel hurt when someone treats you poorly after. So like to really like choose your people wisely, and in regard to like, do I practice that? Yeah, I do, and it's worked out well so far.
So I think that it goes down to we were breaking it up into like the school education system and then your home environment. When it comes down to school, the way I see it is the kids should be learning about things that are happening to them at the time. So if puberty changes. So if it's like at I don't know what the age is, but if the average age of like, you know, the most drastic puberty changes is at age 11, then that's when they should be learning about it. And if the average age that kids are actively you know, engaging in sex is like 15, 16, that's when they should be learning about that. Outside of that, it comes into the home environment where, as a parent, this is how I wish to like conduct everything. Is that like, you know, if you have a child and you're generally gonna be pretty close to them. If you know, if you see signs of them like if your kid has like socks laying around their whole room, and you know what I mean, like you have a sex talk with them. You know what I mean? Like that child is getting into but that child is getting into the place in their life where like sex is a real thing for them, and that's in the home you need to have that conversation.
Before it goes above, I agree with you.
Right, so like it's just about gauging that, but it should be very standard for this like school system, education system. Like at the age it happens.
I also
just
feel like
talk about it.
the school system, like, it introduces things way too early nowadays, and I feel like it introduces way too much. Yeah, like I just feel like the school system needs to leave some of it for at home. Like with my kids personally, personally think it's really important that your kids know that they can come to you with anything. So not necessarily you bring it towards them, but they need to be comfortable enough so that when they feel type of way or they have curiosity, that they come to you. That way you're not putting it into their brains or you're not pushing them, you're letting them grow at their own pace and letting them come to you and just being completely honest with them. That way they won't A, go looking somewhere else for information and get wrong information, and B, you're not
They might
I'm
go
making
somewhere
them
else
curiosity.
first before going to you. Though.
I personally think that like I think differently just because I feel as though kids need the authority to be able to craft their life how they would like to, in the sense of sometimes people are raised in religious families, not everybody turns out to be religious, and I don't think as though just because you come from a religious family that you don't have to learn about sex until that family wants you to. So I think that it's important to have curriculums that teach kids about all these things regardless of what their family thinks, because the kid is going to be exposed to many things, you know, beyond when they're in their parents' discussion. So I think that like almost, I feel as though kids should almost learn like just slightly younger than before they like are actually experiencing things. Like when it comes to like menstruation, like if you just wake up one day and you're just like, oh my god,
Yeah, you don't.
you know what I mean? Like you kind of have to know what it like. You know what I
puberty
mean?
changes. That's not
Yeah, I'm
necessarily
just
the
saying.
same sex.
But like I feel like sex as well, like you need to understand about it a little, like just a little before you actually are in those situations. You know how to handle
Yeah,
it.
because you have your period because there's no baby, which comes from sex.
I
You know what I mean?
just
More or
feel
less.
yeah, it
Like,
needs to-
it all
just a
ties
little-
together. Like if
yeah.
you're getting a period, you're not pregnant.
Like I'm
you
not
get
saying,
pregnant
I'm
because
not
you have
saying
sex.
anything about like super duper young, but I do feel as though like kids do need to learn things about like whether it's sexual identity, sexuality, all those things just a little before like they're actually in those situations.
I
And
agree.
that's all.
At the end of the day,
Go ahead.
your body is your temple, right? And you want to learn as much of it as quickly as possible, obviously at your own pace, right? But the more you know of it, right, the less mistakes you're gonna make. You don't want to screw up the roof, because if you screw up the roof, you're gonna get rained on, right? At the end, like, sex is a big part of what you have to learn, even if it's from a young age. Like, it's something very private, so you might not go towards people you know first. You might go to people you don't know. That's why it needs to be introduced before they start wondering.
Yeah.
So when they wonder about it, they know to come to you, not anybody.
Yeah.
All right, guys, that's a wrap.
Food. Yeah, yeah.
Okay.